Hello everyone and welcome to our live coverage from the Strata conference in Santa Clara, California. I'm Max Slocum. Our first guest today is Tyler Bell, Director of Product at Factual. Tyler, thanks so much for being with us.
Hi Max, good to be here.
Can individual companies tackle the really big data problems by themselves?
So we're sitting in a massive room now with every company that thinks they can. So I'd be foolish to say no, certainly. Today I'll be talking about the idea is that is our default behavior as corporations, is that we try to handle everything by ourselves. Right now the idea of data is that we want to bring in as much as we can, get our elbows out, build a moat, keep our competitors at bay, and then figure out what to do with it. And so what I'm trying to do is challenge that and identify situations where actually when data is shared, it can actually become much more powerful for both organizations.
What is the tipping point for involving an external community?
Well, there's two types of external communities, as at least the way I think of them. One is separate companies, so different organizations working together. And this is when you're on the business development team and I am, and we figure out how our companies can work together. And usually that's going to be a cash for data or cash for technology exchange. There's some very interesting situations where we can do a data type exchange. So one thing that Factual does now is that we will work with folks who do sales, right, lead gen, which is tough stuff. People pay a lot of money to find a database of phone numbers of organizations or individuals that fit a particular bill. And then they call them up and say, buy our product. Now, because Factual works with local data, right? Data about bricks and mortar businesses. A lot of people want to contact those businesses to sell them goods, services, etc. Equally, other organizations are always trying to call the businesses to verify the information.
Right.
So basically you have businesses, every small business's phone is ringing off the hook. And what it means for us, though, is that we can work with a lead gen company and we can say, instead of you're paying, say, $1 per record to Factual and then going off and calling, take the data, go away, take the data for free, go away, call, but in return, I want you to tell me the results of the phone call.
Okay.
So tell me if that phone call was validated, tell me if you got a bad number, and I can improve my data. You can get a sale or at least a lead, and we both win there. Now that's a difficult thing for two organizations to do. The other type of third party that I'm talking about interfacing with are people, and basically how data collection and data management systems interface with individual human beings, either as users or consumers, but also as mechanical turkers, or the end final group of individuals who are there to really slog out the difficult problems that machines can't handle.
What are the major issues that you see with that type of involvement? I mean, can you trust the data that's coming in? Where are the hiccups there?
So trust is absolutely critical. In my first example, we have sales guys calling to verify phone numbers. Sales guys aren't really interested in ensuring the data is absolute and correct. So the way that you and I think about data is very different from the way someone who's basically earns their living by getting the deal. Data is inconsequential to the deal itself. So that's a concern. And then whenever you deal with human beings, users or registered users or mechanical turkers, trust is an absolute, probably the single most issue of that everyone deals with. And in fact, Amazon, from what I understand, is no longer accepting mechanical turkers out of the US now due to difficulties with both fraud and identity verification. And so the whole issue of trust is, it's not entirely solved, but I'll be talking today about some interesting approaches that groups are taking to address it to the best of their abilities.
Last question for you. Can you share a recent example of a large-scale data problem that was addressed through community involvement of the types that you were discussing?
So there was a very interesting, during Hurricane Sandy, there was a very interesting situation, which I haven't really seen before, where the U.S. government apparently approached Waze and said, we are having trouble communicating with consumers of gasoline. We're having troubles with monitoring and trying to structure the data about where gas is available, how long is the wait time, and what the price is as well is a critical factor. And the government's not really set up to handle these sort of short-term, dynamic, consumer-focused problems. Waze obviously is. And so Waze crowdsourced the problem. People wrote in information. And then what I like most about this is then the data from Waze, it wasn't held on to. It was shared back with FEMA, and then it was also shared with Google Crisis Maps as well. So it's an excellent example of basically crowdsourced content for the betterment of the community, and then resharing the aggregated data back out with other organizations so they can build and improve upon it.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.